Alright guys, we're back with more fantasy baseball content, and here I'm going to help you go through your waiver wire so you can pick out the best and most important players to add to your teams. It's a great waiver wire week too, because there were a lot of exciting call-ups, a couple veterans turning the corner, and some other very exciting young players doing big things. But of course, if you guys are watching this video and not yet subscribed to the channel, please go down there, click that big black subscribe button, make sure you don't miss any new videos coming out. We do this waiver wire video every single weekend. Last week I did a panic list, a bunch of players that aren't playing well and whether or not you guys should be panicked about them. This week, I think, pay attention to my Twitter on Monday and Tuesday, and if you guys are not following my Twitter, the link for that's in the description as well. I think I'm going to be letting you guys submit your teams to me on Twitter. I'm going to do a rate your teams, maybe roast your teams video. It's going to come out at some point this week. So check out how to get involved in that on my Twitter account. But of course, also subscribe to the channel if you're not yet done so, and drop this video a like. Also, last thing before we get going, every week when I do this waiver wire video, I do a big chunk, something like 7 to 10 players who I give an in-depth profile of. Then afterwards, I do a couple small breakout lists for people if they're playing in either shallow leagues or deep leagues. Guys that they should be specifically targeting in leagues of that nature and size. But all right, now let's get into it. The first player we're going to be talking about this week on the big list is Jacob Misiorowski, starting pitcher on the Brewers. He was called up for his major league debut on Thursday, and I'm not even kidding, guys. And I'm not being dramatic here. I'm not exaggerating. This is not hyperbole. Showcased what might already be some of the best stuff any starting pitcher in baseball has at this moment. He was gassing fastballs all the way up to 102 miles an hour, and he has such amazing extension, over 7.5 feet, and such a low release height, that makes that fastball explode out of his hand and dominate the top of the strike zone when he can place it there. Based on that extension and that general velocity, the perceived velocity of that pitch from 102 miles an hour is something more like 105 miles an hour. Hands down, I think right now, it's probably the best fastball in all of Major League Baseball. Nick Pollock of Pitcher List had a great line about Misiorowski's fastball in his SP roundup on Friday, and Nick has been writing those roundups every single day, going on 6, 7, 8 years now. Has taught me a lot about pitching. He's the man. Everyone make sure you check those out every day. But about Misiorowski's fastball, he said it has Tyler Glasnow's extension merged with Joe Ryan's attack angle, but at Hunter Green's velocity. Bang, bang, bang. That trio right there, the Glasnow extension, the Joe Ryan flat attack angle, and the Hunter Green velocity, those are 3 components that each makes those guys' fastballs some of the best 5 or 10 in the whole league. Misiorowski has all of them together. This pitch was made in a lab to dominate. Crazy enough, that might not even be Misiorowski's best pitch, because he was throwing this other demon 94, 95, 96 miles an hour cutter slider thing that was shooting all the way across the zone that I think was actually better. And in fact, I think Misiorowski had a better feel for that cutter slider thing than the fastball. On top of that, he showed the curveball and the changeup, mostly the left-handed batters. And while each of those pitches were a bit inconsistent, when he was able to spot them and place them and throw them well, they were both completely disgusting as well. If all 4 of these pitches come together, this might be the best repertoire for any starting pitcher in baseball, hands down, top to bottom. In this debut against the Cardinals, he did not allow a hit over 5+ innings. Of course, didn't allow a run either, with 4 walks and 5 strikeouts. You can even probably chop one of those walks off his line, because he did come out for that 6th inning with only 70 pitches to his ledger, and then was just missing badly, went down 3-0, rolled his ankle, came out of the game. Reported afterwards he was experiencing some cramps as well. Probably should have just never came out for that inning, but still, in terms of a debut, not allowing a hit, having this kind of stuff, I'm ridiculously excited about Misiorowski right now. And there were some questions as to his being called up, whether or not he'd stick in this Milwaukee Brewers rotation, but they already cleared a spot in that rotation by trading Aaron Savali, who sadly had to request a trade on his birthday to the Chicago White Sox. So it looks like Misiorowski has a spot, and also after watching that game, I don't think you can ever send him back down to the minor leagues. He's simply too good. The only thing that could hold him back is command, and his command has been wonky. He did walk a lot of batters in the minor leagues. You saw the high walk rate in this game. It can hold him back, especially if he can't figure out a way to place those changeups and curveballs against lefties. But the upside is he's an ace. Like, I don't even know if this team's going to baby him, because he had a couple 6-7 inning outings in the minor leagues as well. The Brewers also need him. They're making a playoff push right now. There's a real shot he can be their best pitcher for the rest of the season. And if everything does click, he's an ace. Even if it just clicks, kind of. He's awesome. He's really good. He needs to be added every single league right now. It doesn't matter the shape, the size, the form. Doesn't matter. You guys need Jacob Misiorowski on your teams. Next up was another huge prospect call-up, the moment we've all been waiting for. Roman Anthony on the Red Sox made his major league debut this past week. The #1 prospect in baseball replaced Wilyer Abreu, who just won the IL with an oblique strain for the Red Sox. While the expectation for Abreu is just a minimum stay on the injured list, I really can't see the Red Sox bringing up Roman Anthony, the top overall prospect in baseball, I'll say it again, just to send him back down after 10 days. And big reason for that, he has nothing left to prove in the minor leagues. He showed power, he showed patience, contact ability, plate discipline. He really can do everything. You don't become the #1 overall prospect in baseball with that many flaws in your game. And Anthony doesn't really have many. And these are things I wouldn't call flaws, but some things that Anthony does struggle with, did struggle with at AAA, could struggle with the major league level. One, he might be a little bit too patient. He had one of the lowest zone swing rates of any player in the minor leagues coming up this season through AAA. A big reason for that, though, might be because he was so good and so much better than everybody else that why would a pitcher throw Roman Anthony a strike at AAA? But then on top of that, while he got to tons of in-game power, had a nutty barrel rate, 116 mile an hour max exit velocity, all those good things, he doesn't really pull any of his fly balls. Maybe he can have a James Wood-esque 2024 season where Wood just kind of meandered his way to like a 25-25 pace through the second half of the season. Anthony could definitely do that even without pulling the ball with the uber patient approach because, again, power, patience, athleticism. He really can do everything. And it does seem like the Red Sox are not going to baby him either. While he started all 3 of their games against the Tampa Bay Rays in his first series of his career, he's in the starting lineup on Friday as they face Ryan Yarbrough, a lefty from the Yankees. There was a slight concern that the Red Sox will platoon Roman Anthony, left-handed batter, but doesn't seem like they're doing it. He's been hitting 5th in the lineup. There's a really good chance he hits the ground running and, again, puts up something like a 25-25 pace for the rest of the season. Roman Anthony is a stud. You got to get him on your teams. Next up, very hard gear change here. We got Marcus Semien, second baseman on the Rangers. Hand up, I've been outwardly mean to Marcus Semien in this channel this season. I called him old. I called him done. I said his bat was slow. I thought the ship had totally sailed on Marcus Semien being a highly productive major league player. I might have been wrong about that, though. He has an 823 OPS over his last 30 games, and 4 of the 7 home runs he's hit this season have all come in his last 12 games. It looks like Marcus Semien is genuinely finally turning a corner after a horrible 50-game start to his season, where every single thing looked wrong. His swing decisions have trended back up to being some of the best in the league, as they've been for Semien for a while now. His power metrics are crawling back up to being acceptable. Definitely still not good. Still bottom 10th percentile in the league bat speed. Still not a good barrel rate. But Semien's doing that thing he's done for a long time where he's just really, really good at making quality contact, getting his barrel on the ball, and just producing night in, night out. He was also just moved back up to 4th in a suddenly red-hot Rangers lineup. More on that in a second. But the big thing that's working in Semien's favor is how bad the second base landscape is in fantasy baseball right now. Like, even if he just keeps up a little bit of what he's doing right now, I don't even expect an 800 OPS the rest of the season. If you give me a 725 OPS the rest of the season, it's probably a top 7, top 6 second baseman in points leagues in fantasy baseball, a top 10 guy in rotisserie leagues, when you can knock out the guys that can't hit, like Bryce Terang, Andres Jimenez, and Bryson Stott, who just steal a bunch of bases. It's really a mess. It's Ketel Marte. Ozzy Albies stinks. We're going to talk about another fun second baseman a little later. Jackson Holliday's playing totally fine. Jose Altuve's been wonky. I know I'm missing some other guys. I'm just going off the top of my head, but really, it's a wasteland of a position. Semien can definitely make an impact no matter what, based on how bad most of the other options probably are. Also, like I just mentioned, this entire Rangers lineup, which coming into the season was projected to be one of the best in baseball, but then through actuality, through the first about 40% of the season, has been terrible. They're flipping the switch. And I would be trying to get as many cheap pieces of this lineup as possible for when they get really hot. And one of these cheap pieces is Evan Carter, an outfielder on those Rangers. I mentioned Carter in one of these videos about a month or so ago when he got called up, but after he got called up, he didn't hit well for the first 2 weeks. Then he strained his quad, missed about 2.5 weeks of action. Now he's come back from that injury, and he's really hitting the ball well. He just had an absolutely ballistic 3-game series against the Minnesota Twins, where he went 7 for 12 with 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 6 runs scored, 3 walks, and 2 stolen bases. And all of a sudden, he looks a lot more like the guy we saw in 2023 that seemed destined for stardom than the guy we saw meander through 2024, have the back injury, and then not play well at the beginning of the season either. He's not chasing pitches out of the strike zone. He's lifting the ball. He's pulling the ball. Last month, right before he went on the injured list, he had the hardest hit ball of his entire career at 111.1 miles per hour. And he's also successfully stolen 5 bases already in these like 2 different little 2-week samples around that quad injury. That tells me he's feeling good. The back's okay. The quad's okay. He's feeling athletic. He's still just 22 years old. He's playing center field for this Rangers team every single day. And again, as they get hot, I want more players in their lineup on my teams. Carter's contact rate, though, is still low. He still swings and misses a lot, so he's definitely prone to cold streaks, but is a fun player with high potential. Definitely a great add in all 12-team leagues right now. Next, we have another player who I've talked about in one of these waiver videos a few weeks ago, actually like 6 weeks ago at this point, is Ben Kasparias. Kasparias actually was the thumbnail for one of these about 6 weeks ago, when we had word that he was going to be put in the Dodgers rotation. I may have jumped the gun a little bit, though, because he still never got through more than 4 innings in any particular start, or even appearance following an opener, and then he got taken out of the rotation. But now Dave Roberts has announced Kasparias is going back in the rotation again, and we hope this one sticks. And while Kasparias' role has changed a lot as this season's gone on, he's just been really, really good the entire time. No matter what the Dodgers have asked him to do, he continues to be really, really effective. On the season, he has a 2.86 ERA, 26% strikeout rate, and 5% walk rate, with exceptional stuff supporting those very strong results. A fastball sits around 96 miles an hour with a decent shape, and he can command well. A really just gross sweeper. It looks like a frisbee around 85 miles an hour. Pitch is disgusting. Then this little cutter slather thing that's really good, and you show much more comfortability throwing that pitch to left-handed batters this year. That's something I think that's made the Dodgers much more confident in him going through lineups multiple times. And a curveball, it's a downright hammer. That's forcing a 40% whiff rate right now against left-handed batters. That stuff probably trends down a teeny bit as he's going from the bullpen to the rotation again, but I still expect it to be good even with a little bit taken off each pitch. He really has everything. We're expecting him to work only about to 70, 75 pitches for these first few starts as he builds himself all the way up. But if he can actually maintain this starter's role and get to a starter's workload, There's nothing stopping Ben Kasparius from being a top 50 starting pitcher easy with upside for the rest of the season. Next, we have another favorite of mine is David Festa, starting pitcher on the Minnesota Twins. First thing I love about Festa, fellow Jersey guy, greatest state in the world, baby. But in all seriousness, he's coming off a pretty good start against the Texas Rangers the other day. Again, in a series where they completely decimated the Twins, only allowing 3 hits, 2 runs, while walking 2 and striking out 4. But most importantly for Festa, he completed 6 innings in that start. That was the first time this whole season that Festa has been able to complete 6 innings, and only the second time in his career, which again isn't that long either, but dating back to last summer. The Twins have been very reluctant to let their young pitchers, Festa and Zebby Matthews before he was injured, work deep into games, but it feels like that confidence now is growing in David Festa. He had a bad start to that last start. He gave up 2 runs in the first 2 innings, this coming after a really bad start last week. It looked like the wheels could have fallen off, but he really gathered himself and he let his stuff do the work. He forced 13 total swings and misses, with at least 3 in each of his 3 main pitches, which was led by his changeup, which is just a totally nutty offering. Pound for pound, one of the better changeups in the league. And then on top of that, a solid fastball, a good slider, and a sinker he's trying to work in more and more against right-handed batters. There's enough stuff here to trust Festa. He has a 2-start week coming up, someone I'm definitely keeping a sharp eye on. Lastly, we have a pair of Mets and a pair of second basemen. We're going to start with Jeff McNeil. McNeil is just kind of good. I think he got a bad rap the last few years because he won the batting title in 2022 and then regressed really hard in 2023 and 2024. Being just a totally league average player over those 2 seasons, but the first half of last season, 2024, he had a .216 batting average and .590 OPS through about 80-90 games. It kind of looked over for Jeff. But the big thing that screwed with Jeff McNeil's head over the last few years is the shift going away. We think for most players that the shift going away will help them, but Jeff is such a freak in the batter's box. He kind of approaches at-bats in that 2022 batting title season like a quarterback, probing the defense, finding the holes, finding the soft spots, understanding where he had to put the ball to get a base hit. When the shift went away and everything was straight up, I don't really think he knew the kind of hitter he wanted to be. He was still trying to be that slappy hitter smacking singles around, but he kind of just looked terrible doing it. And again, it really seemed cooked for him at the All-Star break last season when he was struggling. But he turned the corner from that point on, had about 130 WRC plus for the next 2 months, until a really unfortunate fractured hand ended his season early in the first week of September. He missed the Mets' magical playoff run, and then this spring training he got injured again and almost missed all of April this season, further delaying his return and further kind of inciting this doubt as to whether or not that second half surge last year was legit. But he's back this year, and not even exaggerating, he's been one of the best hitters in baseball since he stepped on the field on April 25th. Of all players in the league since that date, again April 25th when he made his season debut, he has the 19th highest OPS at .911. That's higher than Pete Alonso's, higher than Kyle Schwarber's, higher than James Woods. Jeff McNeil, a higher OPS than those guys since his season debut this year. Jeff also has 7 home runs, which is crazy, because if you take away the 2019 season, which we probably should for a guy like Jeff, who set a career high 23 home runs that year, but other than that, his career high is 12, and he has 7 right now through about 7-8 weeks of play. That's ridiculous, and he's doing that by getting the most out of his contact, pulling all of his fly balls, increasing his bat speed by about 2 full miles an hour, which is a really big deal for Jeff. It's still not plus bat speed, but that increase is a great thing, and it's showing him power. He's chasing the fewest pitches out of the strike zone in his career. He's taking tons of walks, more walks than strikeouts at this point in the season, which is not a small sample for something like that. He's still running an incredibly high contact rate, and just the pest that Jeff McNeil is in the batter's box, he has the highest rate of foul balls of any hitter in the league this season who's seen at least 400 pitches. It's a tough at-bat for pitchers. At the end of the day, a very difficult player to get out, and a player that's really valuable to the Mets in real life, because when he's not playing second base, he's actually been mixing in at center field for them, which is astounding given the fact he's in his early 30s. Like I mentioned with Semien, second base is a really bad position right now in fantasy baseball. Jeff seems like a clear top 10 guy there. Hard to leave someone like that on the waiver wire. Then last up, for the Dreamers, Ronnie Mauricio, also on the Mets. Some leagues he's third base eligible, some he's second base eligible, some of them he's both. He's been playing mostly third so far this season, could mix in a little bit at second base, but this is the kind of package, again, that you want to dream on as a fantasy baseball player. Because when Ronnie's going right, you could see the little inkling of a 30-30 player here. That probably is his 90th percentile outcome though, but even just like his 50th, 60th percentile outcome, you could be working with a 20-20 pace for the rest of the season. He has that kind of raw power. It's ridiculous. Some of the best bat speed in the league. He hit the ball 117 miles an hour in his major league debut 2 seasons ago. But then he lost a full year and a half of baseball when he tore his ACL in the Winter League that season. Had some complications with it. Return was delayed. But now he's back. Now he's healthy. And we've kind of had the whole crazy Ronnie Mauricio experience in just his first week since being called up this season. He replaced Mark Vientos on the Mets roster and then went 0 for his first 11 between a few games against the Dodgers and almost a full game against the Rockies. Then to break that 0 for 11, he hit a towering 409-foot double in Coors Field because it's the biggest outfield in all of baseball. And then the next day, started going ballistic. Hit a 456-foot home run, had another couple of hits, had a couple stolen bases, was walking. It was just a really tough out, and you could just see the athleticism oozing out of this guy. He's really incredible. If he was born in America, not Dominican Republic, I think he'd probably be an NFL wide receiver rather than a young utility infielder in this Mets team. The only thing stopping Mauricio right now is I don't know where the playing time is going to wind up. It's a crowded infield with him, Brett Baty, Mark Vientos due back soon, Jeff McNeil, like I just mentioned, Luis Angel Acuna still in this roster. There's a lot of guys there just to kind of share the third base, part-time second base, and part-time DH role. Another thing for Mauricio to watch, as a switch hitter, he's a much better hitter from the left side than the right side. The book on Mauricio is that while the tools are incredible, the plate discipline is not. He's been known to swing at basically every single pitch that's low and ducking out of the strike zone, and had a horrible chase rate even in the minor leagues. But now in the small sample since he's come to the major leagues, while the overall chase rate looks really bad, especially if you see it in Fangraphs, Baseball Savant, or anything, it's much different from the left side as opposed to the right side. From the right side, against left-handed pitchers, he's chasing nearly 50% of the pitches out of the strike zone. Very bad. As a left-handed hitter against right-handed pitchers, something you're going to see much more of as a major league player, it's only about a 33% chase rate. That's palatable. With Ronnie's physical tools, he could be a highly productive player with a 30% chase rate. Again, this is one that's more the dream on. This is one you're more of taking a look at in your slightly deeper leagues. If you have a bench spot you can afford in a 12-team league, maybe take a look at Ronnie, because if things click and he gets in on roll, the Mets will not take him out of the lineup. The potential is that sky high. All right, guys, now that's the end of the big list, but like I said at the top of the video, I'm now going to have some breakout sections for people playing shallow leagues, deep leagues, some stash lists, some minor league players, some guys you can drop. Starting out with shallow leagues, though, guys who are not rostered enough in ESPN leagues. First up, we have Brandon Nimmo at 66%. Brandon Nimmo had a slow start to the season, but has really turned it on of late with nearly 900 OPS over his last 30 games. He has a whole laundry list of 800 OPS seasons in his career. He's probably going to sniff 30 homers and 10 stolen bases. No reason this guy should be available in that many leagues, especially as an everyday player in the top of an amazing Mets lineup. Similar for Brian Reynolds at 60% roster. Reynolds had a disaster first month of the season, but has been totally the same guy he's been for the last 5 or so seasons over the last month. That rostership number should be about more like where it was during draft season, because Reynolds right now is the exact guy we expect him to be walking into the season, despite a very cold start. Then David Peterson, 57%. I've been telling you guys for a few weeks now, you have to get David Peterson on your teams. He's too good to be this lowly rostered. And what do you know? If you would have listened to me last week, you would have gotten a complete game shutout this past week, because that's exactly what David Peterson just did to the Nationals. The guy's a good pitcher. He's not going to pop in any stuff miles. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but he's a good pitcher. Pitches deep into games, wins games, good pitcher. Then we have Jordan Westburg at 52%, fresh off the injured list. He was clearly playing hurt over the first few weeks of the season with that hamstring strain. Hit home runs in his first 2 games, coming back. Really good baseball player. Then Alejandro Kirk, sneakily, one of the best hitting catchers in baseball all of a sudden. Since beginning of May, one of the most productive hitters in all of baseball. Shouldn't be 42% rostered. Zach Eflin also should not be 37% rostered. Also had some bad starts early in the season. Also dealt with an injury. Back, looks like the same guy he's always been. Trust Zach Eflin. Then we got Jake Berger at 29%. Another guy. Horrible start to the season. For the last 3 or 4 weeks now, has been totally the same guy we expected. Tons of power, just enough contact, and again, I'm going to say one more time, this Rangers lineup is on fire right now. Get guys on the Rangers. They're about to go on a crazy hot stretch. Then Yuri Perez, someone I've mentioned a lot on the channel. Made a season debut last week, long recovery from Tommy John surgery. Didn't look great results-wise, stuff-wise, looked awesome. Yuri Perez has the upside, being one of the top 20 pitchers in baseball. The downside, even while being babied, only going 4, 5, maybe 6 innings at a time, top 60 pitcher, worth a shot in most leagues. Shouldn't only be 20% rostered. Then we have a trio of young hitters, Addison Barger, Chase Meidroth, and Nolan Shanuel. I've talked about Barger a lot. The power is really hitting the top of the Blue Jays lineup. He's awesome. Chase Meidroth, all the guy does is get on base incessantly. Mostly 1 or 2 hitter for the White Sox, eligible at shortstop, second, and third on ESPN. Really good player at the bottom of your roster. And then Nolan Shanuel, still only 9% roster. I know first base, a very deep position. He's got like a 770 OPS. The guy's playing well, high batting average. Definitely works well in ESPN points leagues, where you want lots of contact and no strikeouts. Next up, we have the stash list. Guys who are either still in the minor leagues or working their way back on rehab assignments you should be paying attention to right now. First up, very lonely here, Bubba Chandler, the last real top prospect who we expected to debut to this point in the season, not to come up yet. It has to happen at some point. I think right now he's a little bored in AAA. He might be losing focus because his walk rate has really climbed over the last month or so. He's got to be up soon, right? How long can the Pirates keep him down? Then we have Logan Henderson in the Brewers, who's been amazing as a major league pitcher this year, like a 35% strikeout rate and a 5% walk rate. Kind of just got passed over by Mizorowski, but that makes sense because Mizorowski's stuff is so nasty. A spot in that Brewers rotation will open up for Henderson at some point. He will get a shot. He will continue to be effective. Then Joe Boyle in the Tampa Bay Rays. I talked about Boyle earlier this season when he made his spot start and dominated, but immediately got sent back down to the minor leagues. Well, he's still dominating in the minor leagues. The Rays have had one of the most consistent rotations in baseball this season. They've gotten the most innings out of their staff. I think the second or third most quality starts out of their entire staff. And they're one of only 2 teams in baseball this season to only have 6 or fewer starting pitchers make a start this season. That's because their 5 has been so tight all year, and Boyle is the 6th that got that 1 spot start. He'll be back at some point, and I expect him to be very, very good. Lots of strikeouts from Joe Boyle. Then kind of a weird one. Michael McGreevy on the Cardinals. McGreevy made a spot start last week against the Dodgers, pitched pretty well. Had a spot extended relief appearance against the Mets the month before, pitched really well again. Those are probably the 2 best offenses in the National League, and McGreevy was able to shut them both down. Well, Dodgers got 4 runs, but only giving up 4 runs to Dodgers is pretty good. He's a command artisan who's flashed some improved stuff. He probably gets another spot start over the next week or so. as the Cardinals go, I think, 10 straight days without an off day. If you really need a spot starter, pay attention to when McGreevy gets that call and makes a start. And then there's a weird one. Did not think I'd be mentioning this guy this season. Chase Burns of the Reds. One of the top overall picks last year. My favorite pitching prospect in the minor leagues. He's already up in AAA. And while he's still walking guys, the fact that he's in AAA makes me think the Reds are at least considering thinking about him in the major leagues at some point. They do have a couple pitchers down there like Rhett Lowther and Chase Petty. But again, I do believe that Chase Burns is the best pitching prospect in baseball right now. And he's already at AAA. It's very close to the major leagues. Keep an eye, probably not stashing. I really can't see him debuting soon, but keep an eye. And lastly, the two injured guys that keep shouting out, Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea in the Mets. Kodai Senga just got injured. Very blatantly opening a spot in this Mets rotation. Montas should fill it by next week or the week after. We probably got Manaea back in about 3 weeks. So keep an eye on those guys because the Mets are a great team to have fantasy pitchers in because they have a great home ballpark, they play great defense, the offense scores a lot of runs. Great recipe for wins and pitching deeply into games. Next up, we have the big list of deep league ads. Players you guys should be paying closer attention to if you're in slightly deeper leagues. First up, Christian Moore, second baseman on the Angels. Called up ahead of Friday's game, recording Friday afternoon, so can't talk about what he's doing in his major league debut. But exciting prospect, drafted last year. Good power, good speed, probably be a good bit of swing and miss. But the Angels might have figured something out with promoting these prospects quickly. It took Zach Neto a little while, but now he's one of the better shortstops in the league all of a sudden. Nolan Schanuel too. I don't believe he even played the minor league game, maybe like 15 or so. It's taken a few years. He's a plus major league player at this point. Maybe more teams should be calling these guys right up, letting them go through their lumps. I think Moore will go through his lumps, but the power and speed should play up enough in a deep league. And maybe he gets hot, who knows. Then two guys I mentioned last week, Ben Brown and Mike Soroka, both flashing a lot of stuff. Brown especially, over the last month or so, the third best strikeout minus walk rate in the whole league, only behind Garrett Crochet and Tarek Skubal. But still only 2 pitches, that fastball and that curve. He's trying to work that changeup more to the lefties, but he really actually still needs another weapon against the righties because the fastball gets smoked. It's very close for Brown. I'm really paying attention to him in every deep league I have. I try to get him on all my rosters because there's a moment here where this thing could click and he could be dominant. But maybe it's a sinker, maybe it's a cutter. I don't really know. He needs something else for the righties, weirdly enough, because it's just that fastball and that power curveball. Great stuff, throws hard, curveball's disgusting, just a tiny bit off. And Soroka, coming back off all these injuries, the slurve looks good right now. He just had kind of a rough start against the Mets, but then he really settled in well after the first inning. Same thing with Brown, he had a rough start too, but I forget who it was against, but I know he didn't pitch very well. These are guys I'm really trying to pay attention to, because especially someone like Soroka could get traded at the deadline, gets to a good team, helps him work on some things. I like both these guys moving forward, keeping a close eye. Then Abraham Toro, back from the dead, starting at first base in the Red Sox, showing a lot of power right now. A switch hitter, but in the lineup every day, and right-handed hitters can really feast in Fenway Park. He's playing well right now. I don't know if this lasts, but he's playing well right now. Then Joe Adell on a heater. We've seen Joe Adell do this before, then fade into the background after a few weeks. Let's maybe give Joe Adell another week before we really get into it. Logan Evans on the Mariners. The strikeouts have been trending up a bit. I'm not in love with this stuff, but I know the Mariners do like Evans a lot, and there's a lot of opportunity in that rotation right now with the injuries they've gone through this season, on top of having a great home park to pitch in. Then Mitch Spence getting an opportunity to jump in the Athletics rotation. I like his stuff. He's a primary cutter guy, which is fun, with a sweeper and a curveball on top of it. It is a lot of junk. I want to see him get through some of these lineups 3 times, so paying attention to Mitch Spence right now. Then out of nowhere, Patrick Corbin with an ERA in the mid-3s on the Rangers. I don't even know what to say about that, but it's happening, so I'm going to tell you guys. Then a fun one, Heriberto Hernandez on the Marlins. He bounced around in minor leagues for a few times. I think he was part of the trade for Peter Fairbanks, if I remember correctly. No, it wasn't Peter Fairbanks. It was Sogard. Sogard? Nick Sogard? Eric Sogard? Who was it? It was a second baseman that was a weird trade that happened between the Rays and the Rangers. And I don't know how he got in the Marlins, but 25 years old now, finally making his major league debut. Big time power, good physical tools, good bat speed. If he's playing every day and there's opportunity in that Marlins team and he's finding his way to get the power, that's good enough, right? Same with another young outfield, Alejandro Osuna on the Rangers. Again, wanting pieces of that Rangers outfield, but they have a bit of a logjam right now. Adolis Garcia actually sat for most of the last week as they try to help him reset and clear his head a little bit. Now Evan Carter is taking a starting spot as well. So I don't know if Osuna is going to get many at-bats, but if he does get at-bats, the guy's an on-base machine. And lastly, Shelby Miller. News that Justin Martinez will be out for the season, so Shelby Miller is the Diamondbacks de facto closer for the time being. Now lastly, I've given you guys tons of players to add, so I have to give you some to drop as well. Starting out, like I just said, Justin Martinez, torn UCL, out for the year. Same with 2 favorites of the channel. Sadly, I have to tell you guys to drop. Ryan Weathers, after getting hit in the head by his catcher throwing down to second base, and then having a bad inning, pitching through we thought was a concussion. Suddenly he's on the 60-day IL with a lat strain. That stinks for a guy like Weathers. It looked like he was coming into his own, but really gives a good lesson for us to probably just avoid guys who are hitting new major heights in velocity that they've never hit before. And then, pouring out for my dog, Bryce Miller. Back on the injured list, just not looking good at all. I got to advocate for you guys dropping him. My Cy Young pick before the season, and he's looked terrible, and he's hurt. Might be a lost season for my guy Bryce. Same with Jackson Jobe, torn UCL, Tommy John surgery. Tough blow for the Tigers. Tough blow for one of the top overall prospects in baseball. Still only 22 years old, though, so I know he'll get better. But for this season, redraft leagues, drop in an instant. Then a few more struggling players. Two guys who started out the year red hot, Javi Baez and Jorge Polanco. Some great stories, but have now reverted back to form and are just kind of blah. And Victor Scott. Speed demon on the Cardinals, but the age-old adage goes, you cannot steal first base, and Scott's learning that the hard way right now. Don't really know if he can hit enough to be a Major League regular. But all right, guys, thank you so much. That is the waiver wire video for this week. Please drop down in the comments any questions you have about ad drops, trades, whatever you got. I'm behind on comments right now, but I'm going to spend early next week getting to everything you guys have down there for my last couple videos. Thank you so much for being with me again. If you guys do want to get notifications for all the new videos coming out on this channel, please subscribe right down below, big black button. Otherwise, drop the video a like. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.